Russia, without any justification, are blocking and bombing Ukrainian seaports and preventing freedom of navigation in the Black Sea. Russia illegally blocks exports of Ukrainian grain. It destroys Ukrainian fields and loots Ukrainian agricultural production. And contrary to what Russia is claiming, it is making good profits from exports of its grain and fertilizers, and will make even more profits now when the prices will rise again after Russia kill the deal and destroy the stockpiles in the Ukrainian harbors. We believe that the international community should respond decisively to this deliberated attempt by Putin to starve the world populations in order to gain extra money or to fight the illegal war.
This is my video update from Moscow, Russia on this Saturday midday, July the 22nd. Let's talk about some news. And the first story that I want to discuss is the meeting of the Russian Security Council, where Russian President Vladimir Putin said some very interesting things, especially with regards to Poland and Poland's possible entry into the west of Ukraine. Now, Putin at the Security Council meeting, he commented on the counteroffensive and how it is failing. He talked about how the leadership of the collective West is very upset with the Zelensky regime and the lack of results for the counteroffensive. He also talked about how a lot of the sentiment towards Ukraine and this conflict with Russia and the belief that this was going well for Ukraine is starting to change. A lot of people are starting to wake up to the fact that they have been lied to and that this is really not going well at all for Ukraine, the Zelensky regime, and the collective West. And then he made some very, very interesting comments about Poland. I believe this is one of the first, if not the first time that Putin has spoken so openly, so publicly about what Poland might end up doing in this conflict with regards to the west of Ukraine. And Putin was briefed on some intel from Sergei Naryshkin, who's the foreign intelligence chief. I believe that's his title. And he was briefing the Security Council and the Russian president on some intel that they apparently have about Poland's intentions towards the west of Ukraine and how Poland is moving a lot of military assets towards the border of Ukraine, as well as directed towards Belarus. So let's get some quotes here from the Russian president, add some context to this story. Speaking at a meeting with permanent members of Russia's Security Council, Putin said the government in Kiev is willing to go to any lengths to stay in power, including selling out its own people and handing over Ukrainian territories to foreign owners. The first in line, according to the Russian president, are the Poles, who he claimed probably expect to form some kind of coalition under the NATO umbrella and directly intervene in the conflict in Ukraine in order to then tear off a bigger piece for themselves to regain, as they believe, their historical territories, today's Western Ukraine. According to the Foreign Intelligence Service chief Sergei Naryshkin, Polish officials are gradually coming to the realization that the issue of Ukraine's defeat is only a matter of time, regardless of the amount of Western military assistance sent to Kiev. Putin suggested that the true purpose of such a coalition would only be to occupy Ukrainian territories. Quote, the prospect is obvious. If the Polish units enter, for example, Lvov or other territories of Ukraine, then they will remain there, and they will remain there forever. Putin also noted that it is well known that Warsaw dreams of also claiming parts of Belarusian territories as well. And then Putin said that if this NATO coalition, let's call it like a NATO light, that allegedly Poland is forming, if they make a move on Belarus, Putin said, we will respond to this with all the means at our disposal. And CNN, they ran a story this morning my time at least, and they said that Russia has indeed deployed tactical nukes to Belarus. So if a move towards Belarus is indeed in the works, well then Poland and whatever other countries are actually going to join Poland on this adventure. Look out. Look out. And Putin made another statement, which was very interesting, which really angered the Prime Minister of Poland. And that is that Putin said that territories in Poland were actually gifted to Poland by Stalin. And this angered Prime Minister Morawiecki, and he said that he's going to summon the Russian ambassador in Warsaw to explain himself. But Simplicius the Thinker, in his blog post, he had a very correct and interesting take on Putin's statement with regards to Stalin gifting territories to Poland. He said we shouldn't look at this as like Putin poking at Poland, like Putin trying to provoke Poland. We should look at it as more of a warning to Poland. With this intel, which claims that Poland is going to be making a move on Western Ukraine as the situation in Ukraine deteriorates, it's Putin's way of telling Poland, what did Simplicius the Thinker say? Russia giveth, and Russia can also taketh away. I think that was his quote. I'll put it up on the screen right now. I'll put it up in post-production, not right now. I'll put up his quotes on the screen in post-production. But that's exactly right. I think this is Putin sending a message to Poland. We gave this territory to you, and we can also take away this territory from you. So if you decide to actually make a move on Western Ukraine, be very, very careful. You know, there was a time way in the beginning of the SMO where I believe that Poland and Russia, as well as Romania and Hungary and Slovakia, and countries that have, let's just say, an interest in some of the territories of what is now West Ukraine, they could have sat down at the table and probably sorted some things out, I guess is a diplomatic way of putting it. But I think we're way past that now. I think if Poland does make a move towards the west of Ukraine, I think Russia's not going to look at that favorably, to say the least. So that was the very interesting statement from Putin that is getting a lot of attention in the news today. And from Putin and from the Russian Security Council meeting, we can move all the way over to Aspen and the security forum that took place in Aspen, Colorado the other day. And at this security forum, we had Jake Sullivan speaking. We had Zelensky speaking. Fareed Zakaria from CNN was doing the moderation. And they said some very interesting things at this forum. Zelensky, when he was interviewed by CNN's Zakaria, he actually said that the Kerch Bridge is a military target. It's not civilian infrastructure. He said that Crimea is going to be captured by the Ukraine military, okay? But he said that the way to do it is to destroy the Kerch Bridge. Zelensky was telling Fareed Zakaria that the Kerch Bridge is absolutely a target. They don't view it as a civilian bridge. They view it as a military installation. And for them, their main priority at this moment is to completely destroy that bridge. Good luck with that, Zelensky, because if you destroy that bridge, which would be with the assistance of the UK. By the way, the Grey Zone, they had a very good article where they highlight how the UK has been helping the Zelensky regime target the Kerch Bridge. I'll find that article and put a link to it down in the description box below. But if Zelensky were to cause significant damage to the Kerch Bridge, it would cause a lot of devastation for Ukraine and for the Zelensky regime. Keep in mind that we still haven't really had the retaliation of the Russian military towards Ukraine for the strike on the Kerch Bridge that happened a couple of days ago. The attacks on the Odessa port, from what I understand, everything that I've been reading about the attacks on the Odessa port, was that these attacks were not connected at all to the attack on the Kerch Bridge. The missile strikes on the Odessa port was all about the grain deal and the movements of weapons via this area, the storage and movement of weapons via this area that the Russians wanted to dismantle and demolish. So the retaliation against the Kerch Bridge incident has yet to happen, and there are a lot of sources that are saying the Russian military is still planning out the retaliation for the Kerch Bridge strike. I'm having a little trouble talking today, but that was Zelensky at the Aspen Institute, another globalist forum that Zelensky loves to attend. And then we had Jake Sullivan. Actually, let's take a walk. Let's go to Arbat. So let's walk through the underpass right here, and we'll make our way to Arbat Street. So, Jake Sullivan, he was at this Aspen Security Forum globalist get-together. Globalists love Aspen for some reason. I don't know why. Why do the globalists love Aspen? Jake Sullivan, he's told Fareed Zakaria that the counteroffensive, the big counteroffensive, that offends me and offends you and offends everybody on Ulica Arbat, the big counteroffensive has yet to really begin. He said it's underway. And he said it's underway because a lot of Ukraine military has died. That was actually what he said. He said a lot of casualties have already occurred for the Ukraine military. So that was an interesting admission. They've suffered heavy losses, Sullivan said. But he also said that the real offensive has not begun, because according to Sullivan, the Ukraine military has not fully committed to the counteroffensive, which I found to be an interesting statement. If that's not fully committed, then someone needs to explain to me what is fully committed. If what Ukraine is doing right now on the front lines is not a full commitment, well, what is a full commitment? He also said that Ukraine still has significant military resources to commit to the big counteroffensive. And he also said that the Biden White House has been has been telling the American people from the very beginning that this counteroffensive was going to be a slow grind, which is a lie. That's a lie. He's trying to change up the statements that they've made in the past, to revise their past statements, because just a month ago, Jake Sullivan and the Biden White House, they were telling us that the big counteroffensive was going to be a 5-day sprint to the Sea of Azov, and the Russian military would panic. And it was going to be all over by the end of July, August. That was pretty much the time frame they gave us, because it was just going to be a mass panic from the Russian military, and they would throw down their weapons and run away, and that would be it. That would be the beginning of the end of the conflict, and the beginning of the end for the Russian Federation, or for the Putin government. So he's trying to revise his past statements, and now he's saying, well, we told you all along that the counteroffensive is going to be a very, very slow go at it. Liar, liar, liar. So John Kirby, he gave a statement the other day, and he was asked about the F-16s. And when are the F-16s going to be delivered? And Kirby said that the Ukraine military should, he didn't say definitely, they should be getting the F-16s by around the end of 2023. So if you see that building right over there in the distance, the big tower, one of the, I think they're called the Seven Sisters, built by Stalin. That building right there is if I'm not mistaken, the Foreign Ministry. That is the building where Lavrov and Maria Zakharova, that's where they work. So maybe we'll make it over there. It's about like a 20-minute walk. So I don't know if we'll make it over there by the time this video wraps up, but I'll do a video from there one of these days if I can't fit the Foreign Ministry building into this video. So that was Kirby's statement. He said that the F-16s should be arriving by the end of the year. But Kirby also made another admission, which I found to be very, very interesting, which is that the F-16s are not going to make a difference. That's what he said. He's like, the F-16s, they'll come by the end of the year, but they're not going to make any difference, pretty much. He's like, so why go through all this trouble if it's not going to make any difference? I don't know. It's all about just keeping the conflict going, if you want my opinion. Guys like Jake Sullivan, campaign guys, they know that they have to keep this conflict going until at least November 2024. That's their concern. So if it means you have to give F-16s over so you can buy some more time, give them over. ATACMS, they're now talking about ATACMS. Biden is considering the ATACMS long-range missiles now. Not going to make a difference, but all it's going to do is it's going to force Russia to push Ukraine further back, which is what they're going to do. But it can extend the war out. This used to be Starbucks. Now it's Stars Coffee. So I believe that one of the owners of Stars Coffee is a very famous musician, rap star called Timothy. And he's actually quite good. Timothy is actually quite talented musician. Anyway, I think he's one of the partners in Stars Coffee. So what else? That's Sullivan, Kirby, Zelensky. If you take all of their statements that we just talked about and put them all together, you get the picture that Zelensky is not doing too well, that Ukraine is not doing too well. I mean, you take Kirby's statement, which is that, we'll hand over the F-16s, but it's not going to make any difference. You take Sullivan's statement, which is that Ukraine is not gaining any ground, they're suffering heavy, catastrophic losses, but, they're still not committed. And then you take Zelensky's statement, which is like, our number one priority is for us to destroy the Kerch Bridge, or we're going to capture Crimea. Just nonsense like that. This is clown puppet actor fantasy land, but that's Zelensky for you. And you take all of their statements and put it together, and you get a clear picture, which is that the Ukraine military is losing very, very bad, and they're running out of options. They're running out of options and ideas, and guys like Sullivan are just trying to find ways to extend this out. And guys like Zelensky, well, he's just trying to. I imagine he's just trying to stay alive at this point. And then you get back to the whole Poland issue. This kind of brings us full circle back to Poland, which is, as things get desperate, does Poland pull the trigger along with a couple of other NATO member states? So it won't be NATO that's going to move in, that could potentially move into Western Ukraine. It'll be Poland and, I don't know, let's say Lithuania. No doubt the UK is going to get in on this action. No doubt about that. And, they might try to make a move because things are going to get very, very desperate. Something like what happened in Syria, for example, may be the game plan, to try and bite off a chunk of Western Ukraine and say that, you're moving into Western Ukraine in order to protect Ukraine's interests. Zelensky then moves the capital to Lvov, and so that could be the game plan, the Syria game plan. We've talked about it on the Duran. Brian Berletic at the New Atlas has talked about this. Take off a piece of West Ukraine. Zelensky moves the capital to Lvov. That's where the rightful government of Kiev, then of Ukraine, is stationed. When Russia moves in and possibly, let's say, moves in and captures whatever they need to capture, then you have the government in exile in Lvov, and Poland, over the many, many years, begins to integrate Lvov into Poland, maybe into some sort of federated state, the Federal Republic of Poland. How about that one? Anyway, a lot of interesting comments, interesting speculation, maybe some real intel, some concrete intel from Narushkin, from the Security Council in Russia, and that's the latest from Moscow. And let's now shift gears and talk about Turkey. Erdogan, the grain deal. How about the grain deal? Erdogan is like begging the West to just comply with the terms of the grain deal. Just not even give Russia what it wants, just follow the agreement. That's what Erdogan is saying. Would you guys in the European Union and the UN and Ukraine, will you just honor the agreement of the grain deal? And then he's like, if we just honor the agreement, then Russia will re-enter the grain deal. They'll resume the grain deal. That's basically what Erdogan is saying. I mean, he's pleading with the collective West to do this. And he's basically said, he came out with a statement and said, all you guys need to do as a show of good faith, of goodwill, is to switch on the Russian bank, the agriculture bank, switch it on to SWIFT again. Just connect it to SWIFT. He's like, that's all you need to do. If you do that, then that'll show the Russian government that you guys are serious about honoring the agreement, and we have something to go off of. And the Russians, they came out with a statement, and they gave the seven things that Ukraine and the UN and the EU, they need to do in order for Russia to resume the grain deal. Something is behind me. Let me move off off here. So yeah, that's all Europe has to do, according to Erdogan, to get the ball rolling for the grain deal to get back on course. Just take the switch for the Russian Agricultural Bank for SWIFT and just push it on. It's that simple, and it really is that simple. And it makes you wonder. This was an integral part of the grain deal, right? Connecting the Russian Agriculture Bank to SWIFT. That was like one of the big points for the grain deal. Russia was like, look, you have to connect our agricultural bank to SWIFT. And the UN and the EU, and this is the EU really, the EU was like, yes, we'll do it. Because according to the EU, it's super important, right, to feed the world. They're very, very concerned about feeding the world. That's the European Union, right? EU values. And so all they had to do for the last 9 months, all they had to do was just simply say, off, on. Agriculture Bank is now connected to SWIFT. A push of a button. That's all they had to do. And for 9 months, they didn't do it. For 9 freaking months, maybe even more than 9 months, they refused to connect the Agriculture Bank to SWIFT. And now they're coming out and they're complaining about how Russia is starving the world. Come on now. Come on, man. Come on, man. So that was Erdogan's statement. Russia has been very clear and very transparent. They said this is what needs to happen in order for us to talk again about the grain deal. They put 7 points down on paper, the 7 points that we all know about. These aren't new items for discussion or for negotiation. And Erdogan's like, come on, EU, come on, UN, just honor the agreement. Is it that hard to honor the agreement? Well, Turkey and Erdogan, they could have also honored the agreement for the last 9 months as well, or at least they could have put more pressure on the European Union and the collective West to honor that agreement as well. But Erdogan wasn't putting a lot of pressure on Europe or the collective West to fulfill the agreement either. So, Turkey is not exactly blameless in the collapse of the grain deal either. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Sticking with Turkey, Annalena 360 Baerbock, she said in a statement that there is no way Turkey's going to be entering the European Union. She said that Turkey's entry into the EU is in a deep freeze. That's what Annalena said. It's in the freezer because Turkey, according to Annalena, just hasn't fulfilled all of those EU values. That EU values checklist that is so important for entering the European Union. So that was Annalena's statement. No EU for you. Next. So yeah, that's the situation with Turkey and the European Union. And let's do one more story, and we'll get to the clown world. And we made it. We made it to the foreign ministry. All right. Let's see. Here we are. So, everyone that lives in Moscow, there are 7 of these buildings, correct? If I'm not mistaken, Stalin built 7 of these towers, and this is one of them, or maybe 6. I think 7. But here we are. This is the home of the legend, Mr. Lavrov, and the legend, Maria Zakharova. The number 1 team of foreign relations and diplomacy, the Chicago Bulls, the Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen Chicago Bulls of foreign policy. It is in this arena. So Rheinmetall, the German MIC company, the CEO, he gave an interview to Bild, and he doubled down on the building of a weapons factory in Ukraine. He actually said that, I have to pull out his quotes. This guy's delusional, man. He's just out for money. He's out for money. That's all he's after. But let me see. Do I have bookmarked? Yeah, I do. He said, the CEO of Rheinmetall, he said, "We will not be dissuaded from helping Ukraine." He said that Kiev's troops have effective capabilities to defend themselves against attacks on sensitive targets. He also vowed to use the company's own air defenses to protect the plant, according to Bild. So he's doubling down on building a tank factory and a weapons facility inside of Ukraine. This is Rheinmetall, the German military-industrial complex company. And he's like, you know what? Kiev will protect this factory, and we'll also have our own air defense system to protect this factory. He says we've already scouted like 3 or 4 locations as well. And he's like, I'm not worried. This is what he said. He's like, I'm not worried about Russia taking out this building is overwhelming. It's awesome. Sorry, I lost my train of thought, everyone. It's awesome. It's like something out of a movie. It really is. You can actually see, if you could, all the way up there is the hammer and the sickle, actually. Right up there. Amazing. So yeah, the Rheinmetall CEO is like, we're not worried about Russia destroying this facility. We can protect it. I have only one thing to say to the Rheinmetall CEO, where he's saying we'll put up air defenses and we'll be able to protect this factory. I only have one thing to tell the Rheinmetall CEO. Hypersonic missile. That's it. That's all I have to tell him. You know, the interesting thing about what's been going on in Ukraine over the past couple of days, and I think once again I go back to Simplicius the Thinker's blog post he made the other day. He noted that the Russians have been using a lot of Onyx missiles, especially in the Odessa port. And I think he said the Onyx missile is like a Mach 3. And Ukraine the other day, they admitted that they have nothing to defend against the Onyx missile. And that's why it's hitting the Odessa port. They can't do anything about it. And he's like, this is Mach 3, and Ukraine admits that they can't stop the missile. So Simplicius the Thinker, he's like, well, if they admit that they can't stop Mach 3, then how in God's name did they shoot down 13 Kinzhal missiles, which I think is like Mach, I don't know, I forgot what he said, Mach 6 or 8. I'm not sure, but they're faster. They're faster than Onyx missiles. And he's like, well, how did they shoot down the Kinzhals, but they can't shoot down the Onyx? Anyway, I just thought I would mention that. So that's the news, everybody. I have a clown world to do. From I think that right there is all the way in the distance is Moscow City, if I'm not mistaken. The skyscrapers of Moscow City, the amazing sidewalks of Moscow. I mean, this is a walker's paradise for walking. This is the best city in the world. Now look at these sidewalks. These sidewalks are bigger than the streets of well, I don't know, Athens, or definitely Cyprus. But let's do a clown world. We'll wrap this video up. I'll find a coffee shop and I'll get this video up to everybody. So a quick clown world is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, they put together some images of a Biden Barbie. Actually, a Biden Ken doll, to be more more precise. So you have the movie, Barbie the movie, and everyone is talking about how terrible it is. I haven't seen it, and I'm not going to see it. I'm not interested in seeing it, but there's a lot of talk about how it's a pretty toxic movie. But artificial intelligence, what some people did is they used AI and they created a Biden Ken doll, and it's pretty funny. Actually, it's very funny. So I'll put some images on the screen right now for everyone to see what Joe Bidenopoulos, Greece's favorite son, would look like if he was part of the Barbie crew. If he was Ken, this is what Bidenopoulos would look like. All right, that's the video. theduran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Telegram, and Rockfin. And go to the Duran shop. 10% off. Use the code. Good day. Take care.